sometimes I like to do videos, and this is kind of something that I talk about every now and again, but I like to bring to the forefront to kind of bring awareness to these things. Sorry if I crack my neck a lot because I actually have a very sore neck right now. What is dyspraxia? Now, a lot of people don't actually seem to have any idea what dyspraxia is, or they may have only just heard of it. A lot of the answers you'll get to saying that you have dyspraxia, or the understanding you will get around it, will be, oh, so you have trouble reading, or maybe if they have any understanding, it'll be, oh, so you're a bit clumsy. So that's usually what people define dyspraxia as in the general population. Otherwise they have no idea what it is, and they ask you kind of to define it. Now, dyspraxia is on par with the other kind of neurodiverse disorders that other people can have, like ADHD, autism, dyslexia, all of those kind of things. When you have a disability, your brain thinks in a different way that isn't the same as everyone else, and it can mean that you're really good at some things and really bad at other things. And that's kind of just what the human population is like, I guess. But sometimes those things can be more marked in people who have disabilities. Now, with dyspraxia, because no one actually is too much educated on it, there's a lot of misinformation that kind of goes around. You can be on a spectrum of any disorder. You can be very sort of severely ADHD, or you can be on the lower end of the spectrum. Same with dyslexia. Some people might not struggle as much as others when reading a book, but some others may struggle a lot. When you're a child, your disability will look different to when you're an adult. When I was a child, I was very dyspraxic, and I had every kind of symptom of dyspraxia that you could possibly have in a pretty severe form. And there was no doubt that I was dyspraxic. I passed the charts very highly in that. But as you get older, you learn to manage things. And it's kind of like when people have strokes. Don't know if I should compare that to a disability, but people have strokes. They have stuff happen to them, and their brain learns to kind of not fix it, but build new pathways. It learns to learn in a different way, basically. And so you learn how to manage the symptoms that you have. Now, I haven't actually explained what dyspraxia is yet, but I'll do that right now. So, dyspraxia's primary symptom is one of motor skills. Anyone and everyone who is diagnosed with this will have bad fine motor skills. That means tying knots, opening jars, playing music. They will be a lot slower to understand these things because the connections don't really wire properly. So they'll often be the uncoordinated people. They'll be the people who are bad at team sports, maybe, or that you throw a ball to and they drop it straight away. That doesn't mean that every clumsy person has dyspraxia. It just means that dyspraxic people are clumsy people. Now, some people actually learn to manage it a lot better. For me, I have played guitar for many years, and I've tried to learn musical instruments. It's taken me a long time to be any kind of okay at those things, but they have improved my fine motor skills. I'm not as bad as I once was. So that's the primary characteristic. Now you can have several other characteristics within that. Some people have social skills that are impacted as well. Some people have learning and processing difficulties. Some people are affected in a whole different array of manners. Sometimes just in the way people walk, it might be a bit weirdly, or the way they run, it might be a bit weirdly. even gross motor skills can be affected. It's not even just fine motor. But you can be anywhere on that spectrum, and every single person that has dyspraxia or any kind of neurodiversity disorder can be different to everyone else who has that. Now, as I said, for me, in my story, because I only truly know my story, is that my dyspraxia has gotten a lot better through the ages. All the severity that I had when I was a child, I learned to manage. I learned how to learn in my own way. And thankfully, a lot of that was due to the parenting that I had and the good teachers that I had along the way. I ran into really bad teachers as well, which is kind of questioning the education system of New Zealand, but let's hope that's gotten a little bit better now. So I learned to manage things a lot, but even in my adulthood, I still struggle with dyspraxia. Now, I use humour a lot. I joke about dyspraxia probably quite a bit. If someone tells me to tie something, my immediate reaction in my head is, shit, I can't tie that, like, I'm not going to be any good at that. Even if someone's like, can you tie it in my bra? Or, you know, something like that. My head is like, okay, well, I can tie it in my bra, but I don't know if I can tie it in your bra, because my brain kind of just fumbles because it's not used to like that interaction. So I'll be a bit slower. So I'm always like, so you're asking a dyspraxic person to like tie a knot or tie this up or do this, because I don't know if that's the smartest idea. So I would joke and I'll use humour a lot with my disability. And motor skills is definitely affected with me in adulthood. As I said, not as severe as it once was, but it is still there. The other thing that I personally have trouble with is organisation. I struggle a lot to organise myself. It's like very hard. My mind, and a lot of neurodiverse people's minds, I guess, probably work like this. My mind is on sometimes 100 million different things at once. It could be probably quite similar to ADHD or ADD in that respect. So it's sort of focused on a million different tasks, and sometimes I do really well in those environments. I'm focused on this, other than that, this and that. So it's good, it's not repetitive, and my mind is engaged, so it does really well. But then there's some parts of those tasks that might be missing or might be quite hard. And by hard, I mean things that are relatively very simple to others. So you could give me a million tasks that other people might not be good at, and I'll do probably fairly well. But you give me some kind of organisational task or admin, and my brain is noping out of there. It's really incredibly difficult for some people with dyspraxia, including myself, to actually do administration work. And that is something that is so simple, or even being on time somewhere, that is something that is so simple to other people that they don't understand how that could be hard to someone else. They don't understand that my brain is literally not in any kind of capacity made to be good at those things. So even if I had an entire list, I've done those things, if I wrote an entire list of everything I had to do, because I've taken on a million tasks, I actually can't make my way through that list. I would be working through that list 24 hours a day. I wouldn't get any sleep. So another part of what I do is that I kind of hyper-focus on tasks. So I'll get very fixated. I will get fixated on a certain task, I'll do that task completely, or I will chop around tasks. So I'll be fixated on this task for 20 minutes, and then I'll go on to that other task, and then I'll jump back to this task, and I'll go like all over the place. Whereas other people are like, boom, 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 boom. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is it's kind of my story. Those are the things that I have difficulty with in adulthood. And I have gotten to the stage where if you look at me, a lot of people don't really see me as dyspraxic. But the older that you get, you still get the same judgments. I will still get people telling me that tasks or things are simple. People will get frustrated or angry at me for things that I actually can't help at all. I will have people who just won't understand that I'm dyspraxic or simply feel like I've made it up for an excuse. Oh, I'm late, I'm dyspraxic. Oh, I'm bad at organising, I'm dyspraxic. Oh, I'm bad at writing a million different things in a million different places, I'm dyspraxic. Oh, I'm bad at this thing at work or in friendships, I'm dyspraxic. But it's very true. And you'll find when you have a disability that not many people understand, you'll get kind of ignorant statements. You would never tell a dyslexic person to read better. You would never tell someone who had 2 amputated legs to just walk on their knees or walk on their hips or somehow crawl around or go faster. When you learn someone that has a disability or struggles with a task, whatever task it is, you need to be patient with those tasks and those people. I'm sure throughout my life people have thought I was incredibly lazy because I didn't complete a spreadsheet or something. But it's not that I'm lazy, it's that I struggle. And it's that my brain doesn't comprehend the way that other people do these simple tasks. And when you have any kind of neurodiversity, it is incredibly frustrating for yourself. The amount of self-frustratingness that you... I don't even know if that makes sense. The amount of frustration you put on yourself is a lot. Because no matter what you have, you know other people find that easy. You know that if you have dyslexia, other people find reading easy. You know that if you have ADHD, you know other people find focusing easy. You know that if you have dyspraxia, you know that other people find opening jars easy. So you're bad at simple tasks some of the time, or maybe all of the time, but not every simple task. And sometimes you're really good at hard tasks that other people aren't good at. So if you know anyone that has any kind of disorder, dyspraxia or whatever it is, you've got to listen to them. They will know what works for them. They will know what helps them. And if they don't, that's when you can kind of encourage them to maybe do things that will help them. Not to the point where you're telling someone to just read faster or walk on their non-legs, but encourage them in ways that are helping them, not shaming the person or making them feel less than, because all that does is shut a person down. The amount of times I've shut down because I've felt stupid that I couldn't do a simple task is a lot, and I think that's a lot for a lot of people. If you shame people, they'll never be good at the things that they could be. So encourage people, be positive, be loving, and listen to people when they say what works for them and what doesn't. And whatever disability someone has, even if it's a super rare one or something that you haven't heard of, educate yourself. Learn what that is. Learn what it is to them. I think that's most important. Learn what a disability is to that person. In the end, a disability doesn't define you. We're no different from each other. But we've got to understand that some people are better at some things than other things, and that other people are better at the other things than some things. And that's kind of all I had to say. I know this is a long freaking video, but